Hey, Wildcat Nation, Bailey Clark, Sports Information Director, here with our brand new head football coach, Marlon Watson. Coach, welcome to Fort Valley.
Thank you, Bailey. Thank you for having me.
Of course, Coach, you just want to pick your brain a little bit, see what Wildcat Nation's getting itself into with you at the helm. So, Coach, what are your plans for this season?
Well, of course, the main objective is always to win. But the first thing we have to do is get these young men to understand what we're trying to do and reset that standard and raise the standard. So I think this spring we've been doing a really good job of just setting that foundation and building off of that foundation.
Absolutely, Coach. You've been here a whole month now. So what, first impressions of, the team, the facilities, and everybody you've met so far here at Fort Valley State?
Absolutely. I just want to first start with the people. The people have been wonderful, Bailey. Wildcat Nation, I thank you for accepting me into the Wildcat family. But it has been wonderful. Everywhere I've been, they treated me, like a head coach should be treated. I should say that. And so the excitement around Wildcat Nation, the community, even the state. I've been to Atlanta, and they're even coming, at me as far as congratulating me and things like that. So I'm very excited about that part of it. As far as the team, they're excited. They're excited. Of course, transition is always hard when you lose a head coach and a new one comes in, and just new ideas and new standards and things like that. So that has been a little bit of a challenge. They're trying to get to know me. I'm trying to get to know them. And so these young men have been doing a wonderful job trying to adjust to what we're asking them to do with this new staff coming in. And so I'm very excited about that. But Fort Valley as a whole has been a wonderful, wonderful place, from, again, the community to the facilities here, and the fans. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, you mentioned that transition and new values and stuff. So what are your key values that you're going to bring into this program?
Absolutely. So the first one, the motto of the season for the 2025 season is build and fight. And so right now we're in that phase of building.
Mm-hmm.
When you build, you may have to tear some things down. You may have to fix some holes and things like that. And so right now, with the spring coming up, we're building. We're building. So, the first thing I kind of did, the first thing I instilled was take care of home.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing we did was clean up.
Right.
We came out to the field. First time I talked to the young men, and we went out here and just cleaned this stadium. And again, that's where that take care of home comes from. And so right now, again, we're in that process of building not only, the facilities. We got new heating going in, tankless water heaters, but also building their mind, building their bodies physically, emotionally. A lot of things that we have to put in place first before we get to that football. And so, again, the guys are doing a really good job of trying to listen and learn and try to stay on track with that type of thing. So, again, build and fight. So we're in that building phase, and periodically I'll talk about some fight,
Mm-hmm.
that mental toughness part of
Right.
it. And so with that mental toughness part of it, doing sleds, that physical,
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the first quarter, the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and even the fifth quarter if we have to go into overtime. And so we really hit on that with the sleds, and they're burnt out. Hey, you can always give more. And so again, we're in that building stage.
Right, you're in that building stage, so you've got to see a lot of potential here in this stage. So what excites you the most about, not only the spring semester and finishing it out, but coming into the fall as your first season?
I said it before, these guys know and understand they can play. But there's a humble swag about these guys. They know they can play, but they still understand that they have a lot to learn. And in that, their minds are wide open. They're ready to go. They're ready to learn. Guys that are sticking out and trying to be leaders and trying to understand how to lead. And when you got guys coming by your office to just sit down and talk with you and understand who you are and with those expectations, it is a wonderful thing. You're around in that corner of these guys, and I hate using this phrase, buying in.
Right.
But they've certainly done a great job with that, and also trying to do everything that I've asked them to do, or this staff has asked them to do. And so, again, I'm excited going into this spring. Hopefully we get a couple days of spring ball in there, but that first thing is taking care of home. So everything with me starts with order. And so until we can get that order in, we're not going to start spring ball with that. And so,
right. So, I mean, with that being said, fall 2025 is your first season here in the Valley. What are your expectations from not only you and your staff, but from the team as well?
So going back to that motto, build and fight. We're going to build every single day, and we're going to fight every single day. And so that goes into the season. If you're building, if you're fighting, that ultimate expectation is to win. And again, I'm not saying we're going to win every single game, but that's the expectation. And I know with this coaching staff and myself coming in here, and then the administration with A.D. Johnson and President Jones, they're doing some things to help us out too. And so when everybody's rowing the same way, when everybody's pulling the same way, that expectation is to win. And I know we will win these games. And so I'm excited about that. They're doing it the Wildcat way. And so, I'm learning a lot about the history, trying to teach these young men the alma mater, all of that. And so I have some learning to do myself. And, I'm a student of the game. And so that's been exciting for me too.
Right, absolutely. And Coach, you look at that fall schedule.
Yeah.
It is heavy road slate.
Yes.
So, being able to go and play on the road and even take some wins on the road, what does that say to the mental toughness that you're going to instill in your guys?
Well, anywhere you go in the football field, that field is the same. Anywhere you go. So we can be in the parking lot, we can be in the field, we can be in Alabama, Georgia, wherever we have to travel this year. It's the same field. And you have to have that mentality going in there. It's 110 yards, 53 and a third across. And so as long as these young men understand that, we're going to be fine. And from what I understand, that Wildcat Nation travels. And so every game is going to feel like a home game. But I have some things that, we're going to do to wherever we go. That's going to be our home. I don't care if it's a different color jersey. I don't care or anywhere else. That is our home, and we're going to take care of that home. And we're going to build and fight at that place.
Absolutely. So, Coach, going back to what you said about, building the student athletes and building these young men. You were once a football player at NIU playing under Coach Novak. So what does his coaching philosophy and the philosophy of his staff, what did you take away from that you're going to bring here to Fort Valley State?
Absolutely. My time at Northern Illinois was a great experience, and I definitely thank Coach Novak and the staff there that gave me opportunity to play there. But it was where I learned to win, as a player, as a coach. And so that foundation of winning, I tell the players all the time, winning is a habit and losing is a habit. And so that's where I learned those habits of winning at Northern Illinois University. If you go back, we won a lot of games. I think at one point we were top 10 in the nation. And so beating teams like ranked Maryland, ranked Iowa State, and go down to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama, that teaches you how to win, not only on that football field, but in life, because a lot of things with football and the game of football parallel life. And so if you're successful on that field, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be successful in life. And so I thank Coach Novak, all the time, more than he thinks. And, during this process of getting the job here, I definitely wanted the people that I called and took his advice and mentorship. And so he's always been great. He calls or emails to check on me. And so he's one of those coaches that you want to play for, you want to listen to. And hopefully I'm that same way as my coaches. So that's one of the things that I definitely look forward to and have instilled in my coaching philosophy or mentality, that, hey, you got to be about these players. And that's someone he was. Not only about the players, but later on in life. And so I definitely take that from him and that coaching staff with, some guys like, Pat Narduzzi and Scott Schaefer and Sam Pittman and a bunch more who were there that were on coaching staff, along with some of my teammates who right now, Thomas Hennick, who's the head coach at NIU, one of my former teammates, and PJ Fleck at Minnesota. And so a lot of those guys are in the coaching industry right now that we lean on each other. That Husky coaching bond is very strong. And so, they went out and beat Notre Dame this year. But if you played under Coach Novak or you were Husky, that's expected. And so the same way with these guys, I expect them to have such a pride, such a great feeling for Wildcat Nation and Fort Valley that when we win these games that we're not supposed to win, it's an expectation. We knew we were going to win those for generation to generation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, he was a linebacker at NIU, so be on lookout for that Wildcat defense this year. Coach, we'll just wrap up, with your basic interview questions. Where are you from?
I am originally from Chicago, Illinois, moved out to the suburbs right before high school, Bolingbrook, went to Romeoville High School, and then again, I ended up going to Northern Illinois and having a great time out there, So.
What was your draw here to Fort Valley State University?
You know what? I told A.D. Johnson this, when the position first opened, I feel like Fort Valley's a landmine. It's something that you hear about, but I had never, been here. I had some former friends that, travel here. And then just the state of Georgia itself. Georgia was always on my mind. I felt like Georgia was a second home to me. And again, this is my second time actually coaching in the state of Georgia. I coached under Coach Burt Williams, but Rob Manchester, who's the head coach over there now, was the defensive coordinator at the time at Georgia Military. But again, Georgia has always been a second home to me next to Chicago. And so that was definitely one of the draws, and I felt like I had to get back to Georgia. And then just the school itself. That 1895 land-grant university, the rich history behind Fort Valley, some of the players that have been here, Dr. Jones, just speaking to him. There again, it's a hidden treasure here in Fort Valley. And, until you've been here, you don't recognize those things. And so I'm just happy to be here. I'm excited to go, the staff, administration, the people, again, around here, and some of the things that you don't realize until you get here. It is a very wonderful place.
Right.
And when recruits come and they see this place, they're in awe.
Yeah.
Some people that live down the street have never been on campus, and to see this beautiful campus, one of the biggest in the state of Georgia, and the land and just everything, the faculty and staff just working together. So I can go on and on about the things here at Fort Valley, but just that initial draw I feel like it was a godsend.
Right. And of course, this beautiful football field behind us here.
And I forgot to mention that beautiful football field.
Look at that beautiful turf.
I can't wait till the season comes where we have thousands and thousands of fans out here, and I can smell the barbecue and the band playing and just that atmosphere of football. And so I'm very excited about that. But again, we gotta build first before we can get it. It's just like a baby. You want them to walk and talk as soon as you get out, but we got to nurture them through that infancy first. So.
Right, absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you for your time and welcome to Fort Valley State University.
Thank you, baby.